pilot is on board. Remaining in the anticipated period of communications blackout. Now, it's not an exact science. There might be some variation that occurs. We might hear from the crew a little earlier than we expected, or potentially a little bit later. But we are all on the edge of our seats, eagerly awaiting to hear from the crew. So far, everything looking good. Of Crew Dragon as it continues to make its way closer and closer to splashdown.
Freedom, SpaceX, com check. Coming through 30 kilometers altitude. Copy and concur. Expect to automate ship deployment. We'll be monitoring. And GPS is confirmed. Expect nominal chute deployment altitude.
Well, Jesse, it is absolutely phenomenal to hear from the crew on the other side of the communications blackout period. We are continuing to get these great views from the WB-57 high altitude aircraft, providing that thermal imagery. We did even see the tail of entry of the vehicle, and it's just absolutely beautiful to see that. So we also heard we did hear a call up to the crew that they are expecting the automated drogue deployment. So we're just standing by for confirmation that Dragon's chutes have deployed.
Again, there will be a set.
Freedom, SpaceX, brace for drogue window. Bracing for drogues.
We're here communicating with the crew, giving them a heads up that they should feel the drogue chutes deploying here shortly, followed by the main chutes just about a minute later. The drogue chutes do help to slow the vehicle down to about 350 miles per hour, whereas the main chutes will deploy, after the main chutes deploy, it will slow the vehicle down even more, and by the time that the vehicle splashes down, it should be around 16 miles per hour.
descent rate nominal, visual on 4 healthy mates.
As you can see there, the main chutes have deployed, slowing the Dragon vehicle down significantly, down to approximately 119 miles per hour.
Freedom is not weird. Copy 1000.
Now Dragon has saved all propulsion systems and is now terminating the nitrox suit and cabin purges, and is beginning to increase.
800 meters. Copy 800.
Dragon is beginning to increase pressure in preparation for landing. And the mission control team here in Hawthorne is reporting the precise landing coordinates to the recovery team.
So we did get that confirmation on the main chutes.
600.
The crew is now 600 meters away from splashing down. We do expect splashdown in about 2 minutes from now.
Landing in water is simpler, therefore more reliable, and it provides more margin against unlikely parachute.
400 meters. Copy 4.
Provides more margin against unlikely parachute issues. We had to learn how to make Dragon waterproof, but once you do, it is a rinse, review, and reuse type of process. And we are just about a minute away from splashdown of the Dragon vehicle back onto planet Earth. Hearing good callouts of the altitude of Dragon as
Reduce at 200 meters for bracing for splashdown. Copy, brace for splashdown.
And again, that descent rate is as expected here. Pretty soon we should be able to see the view of the ocean come into view as Crew Dragon Freedom with 4 astronauts on board prepares to splash down after spending 170 days in space after launching on April 27th.
Welcome home, Crew-4. Great view watching Dragon splash down back on planet Earth. Now, as you can see on your screen, we have a visual confirmation for a splashdown of the Dragon spacecraft.
SpaceX copies Dragon for awareness. Comm is a little bit choppy, but we copy that you are complete with 4.800 and awaiting recovery personnel. I will provide an update on recovery forces in a couple minutes. How copy? Standing by.
Mission Control here in Hawthorne did give the go for that approach and recovery. And so here shortly we should be able to get some views of the fast boats as they approach the Dragon Freedom with the crew is still on board.
is go for recovery personnel to approach. Expect personnel alongside within the next couple minutes.
And there you are getting a view of those fast boats as they approach the vehicle. They will essentially be doing some safety checks, making sure that all the ordinances and hypergalls are not present or in the area immediately around the vehicle. They'll also perform an inspection of the capsule itself to make sure that integrity-wise it is looking good. You are seeing that very first fast boat approach the vehicle there. And they really want to do these inspections to make sure that everything is looking good before they do hoist it up into the recovery vessel. So it will take a little bit of time before we do see the crew egress or exit the capsule. We're shooting for less than an hour to bring the Dragon onto the recovery ship and open the hatch to egress. Once these checkouts are complete, you'll see a member of the recovery team actually climb on board the capsule.
Freedom SpaceX for camera configuration. We are looking for permission to come on board via the display camera view only. We are back on board with the display cam. Recovery personnel are all alongside.
Okay, copy all. Thank you.
And getting some waves from the crew on board Freedom post splashdown. Looks like they're doing pretty well. First time feeling gravity in 170 days.
It looks like they're waving to the world, technically. The crew will remain in their seats all the way until they are brought on board the recovery vessel.
We do expect to hear some words from NASA's Brandy Dean, who is actually on the recovery ship and was able to witness the reentry and splashdown of Crew Dragon Freedom. Brandy, if you're able to hear us, can you tell us a little bit about what it was like to witness 4 humans return to Earth after their mission aboard the International Space Station?
Hey Sandra, it is a gorgeous day for a splashdown. I know it's a little rougher than it's been in the past, but it's still a gorgeous and entertaining. Watching the crew down, the parachutes were just slowly, the sun behind them, it was gorgeous. And so we are now underway and making our way towards the team here on the boat was so excited. There were cheers. We heard the double bus round at the transfer and got to see the drum chute in this way down. So it's been a really great day so far. I'm looking forward to being through here on board ship.
That's wonderful to hear, Brandy. Can you tell us a little bit about what the crew is doing and has done to prepare for this moment from your perspective as you've been on that recovery vessel?
progress. Approximately 5 minutes until capsule lift. Stand by for TMC with SpaceX flight surgeon.
Okay, Freedom copies all. Hypergulch checks are passed, and for about 25 minutes out, we're sending back to TMC.
So, Brandy, if you're still with us, we did just hear that all of those hypergol checks went as expected, and we can see that the rigging has begun. I'm sure you have a much better view of it yourself on the boat, but can you tell us a little bit more about what the crew on the boat is doing to get ready for the next steps to bring the capsule onto the boat? And it sounds like we may have lost Brandy. They are out at sea, so communications can be a bit spotty. We might be able to join back with her a bit later, but you are seeing right now someone on the capsule. They are doing what is called rigging. You see that they're tossing some different equipment up to them, and that's to ensure that the vehicle is ready.
Freedom SpaceX, I will be privatizing Dragon to ground now. The next call of the year will be from the SpaceX flight surgeon on the recovery vessel.
So those call-outs about a private medical conference, just to ensure that the crew is all feeling healthy, and if there's anything that they may need medically-wise once they do get on the boat. That is, of course, privatized for medical and personal reasons, but we are continuing to get really great views here of the rigging process. As I was saying, this individual is working to secure Dragon and enable it to be lifted onto the recovery vessel here in just a short time from now.
Been getting the medical room ready, down, and here it comes for the crew. It's been just a little time there, just as long as it takes for the crew to kind of work to making the helicopter ride back to dry land. They will do a few medical tests first, look at the ID to get supported that they lost, while they were in space, back into their bodies, help them readjust their ID a little better. Just do regular medical checkouts once and that sort of thing. And then when they get back to Jacksonville, that's when the fun really starts with the specifics that are being, a number of things, including tests that will kind of talk a little bit more about what to expect when we are sending crews to the moon and Mars. We'll do things like having them set up there and see how they're able to handle that and space for several months and get on the ground looking like they've fallen and try to get out. Things like that will really help us make sure that we're ready for sending crews to different land in the future. And then from there, they'll get on space, go back to Houston. They will spend at least the night, or the Americans will spend at least the night in Crew-4 as a make sure they're doing well before they jump right into their recovery period. Medical tests, scientific tests, and a lot of exercise to get them reconditioned. Utilize that for gravity again. Meanwhile, Samantha will be going back to Europe. She'll leave pretty much right away once they get back to Houston.
Thank you so much, Brandy, for that insight and sharing your first-hand experience of what it was like to witness splashdown from the recovery vessel. We really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us, but we'll let you get back to it and enjoy your time out there.
Thanks, guys.
And as recovery procedures continue as expected, we did have a splashdown that occurred at 1:55 p.m. Pacific time this afternoon, and you do see a wonderful photo on the left hand of your screen of that splashdown with the main parachutes all deployed. Really the moment that Crew Dragon Freedom touched Earth again for the first time in 170 days. So we we do see the recovery vessel continue to approach the Crew Dragon Freedom vehicle.
You are seeing on your screen a live view inside of the Dragon capsule with our crew patiently waiting in their seats. They will remain harnessed into their seats until the hatch is actually opened on the Dragon vehicle.
That was taking place a short time ago, and now we're getting another view of it here. That person on the capsule is called the rigger, and they are working to secure Dragon to rigging hardware to safely lift it up and out of the water. And that will be done using that A-frame, which is the boxy frame that you see towards the back of the boat there.
Splash down in the nighttime where it's a little bit harder to see, but today we've got some light and get to watch the process pretty clearly here.
Looks like a really beautiful day out there in Jacksonville. Now I am hoping that we will have the chance to see the rigger jump off of the vehicle. That's always one of my favorite parts.
Awaiting the recovery of our Dragon spacecraft with NASA astronauts Kjell, Bob, Jessica, and ESA astronaut Samantha inside. Dragon has already autonomously completed several steps to safe itself following splashdown. Now, for those of you just joining us, the mission has gone smoothly so far. Dragon successfully splashed down in the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Jacksonville,
ensuring that it is safe for the recovery vessel to approach the Dragon spacecraft. All of those checks performed well. And once the spacecraft is cleared for full approach, the team begins rigging the capsule for water recovery by the recovery ship. That process is underway and just wrapped up. And then the second boat is really responsible for parachute recovery and serves as a redundant boat to the first. We'll also see a team member on a jet ski helping to gather up the now detached parachutes, and it looks like they may have already completed that process. I'm not seeing them. They might be just off the screen.
Great news. All preparations for rigging have been completed with that confirmation of the comms there, so we should see Dragon start to lift out of the water here in just a few seconds.
Teams are now preparing to lower the vessel's hydraulic lift mechanism into the water to bring the spacecraft into the on-deck translation system known as the deck. Dragon will remain known as the nest, and Dragon will remain in this nest during the crew extraction and then for the journey back into port. So here momentarily we will see the capsule being lifted and set on the nest. It will then be centered and oriented and then translated into the hangar underneath the helipad aboard the ship so that we can open up the hatch. And once open, a SpaceX medical doctor will be the first one to check in on Kjell, Bob, Jessica, and Samantha and see if they're ready for egress or getting out. And you see that motion underway now as Dragon is lifted into the nest.
very cool view and cool process as we lift the Dragon vehicle, and you can see the nest there that it's going to be sat down into. While Dragon's top hatch is used to connect to the space station, the astronauts will egress from the Dragon's side hatch, pending capsule orientation in the water. Now, before opening the hatch, the spacecraft's cabin pressure must be equalized with the outside environment. Once the hatch is opened, that will be the crew's first breath of fresh air since boarding Dragon at the start of their mission back in April.
So it is important to note that Kjell, Bob, Jessica, and Samantha will be getting some assistance from the recovery team while they are exiting the capsule. This is the same process for any returning long-duration crew members, as returning to a gravity environment can wreak havoc with our vestibular system responsible for maintaining balance and motion. And of course, safety is always our #1 priority. So you'll see Kjell, Bob, Jessica, and Samantha helped out of the capsule and assisted the few feet to the medical quarters aboard the boat. And if you've ever watched crews return on a Soyuz mission, this is the same process as when astronauts are carried from the capsule to waiting chairs and then carried to a waiting medical tent. So it looks like we are getting views now of Dragon in the nest, successfully lifted up out of the water. I'm sure looking forward to welcoming the crew back to Earth.
Looks like the first to exit their seat is pilot Bob Hines.
So again, you do see that stretcher to the left of the screen there. That is all part of our standard procedures. Looks like we're getting some claps and cheers for Bob Hines. First out of Crew Dragon Freedom.
To Megan MacArthur.
And So as we just saw, Bob Hines was the very first to exit or egress the capsule. He spent a total of 170 days in space. This was his very first space flight. And it looks like next up we will have the commander, Kjell Lindgren, who will exit the capsule. This is his second space flight. He's logged a total of 311 days in space. Kjell Lindgren is now outside of Crew Dragon Freedom.
Some great smiles and waves there.
A big high five to NASA astronaut Megan MacArthur. Recovery personnel now working to get Jessica Watkins ready to egress. So just 5 hours ago, this vehicle was docked to the International Space Station, and now we have 2 of the 4 crew members having been removed after a successful splashdown. We are standing by for another first-time flyer, Jessica Watkins, as she is egressed from the capsule. Samantha Cristoforetti, who after this mission has logged 369 days in space over her 2 flights, which again, that does make her the second on the all-time list for most days in space by a woman, and that is second to NASA's Peggy Whitson, who logged 665 days in space over her 3 space flights.
There is ESA astronaut Samantha Cristoforetti, now egressed from the Dragon vehicle, the final crew member of Crew-4 to exit the vehicle.